Yeah, up to $20,000 off MSRP on the Ram 1500. That's worth the drive. Okay, you're not born and raised in Calgary. You live there now. Eric Francis, have you ever heard of bumper shining?
Well, I've been here 30 years, so I'm a Calgarian by any definition. So, but I've never even heard of bumper shining. Now, I'm guessing it's, I learned from a guy who married a gal from Saskatchewan about bunny hugs and what Vico or whatever,
Vico.
But yeah, that's the extent of it. The bumper shine, I would love to know about this. Tell me about this.
Okay, so what it was, and Chris and I remember doing it vividly behind a bus because we knew the bus routes and all that. Unsuspecting cars, it would work too. Again, I'm not promoting this necessarily. I'm just saying the streets right now, look for it. You would go in behind, you'd wait with your buddies, and the bus wouldn't see it, and you'd grab onto the bumper, and then you'd ride it as long as you could, because the streets right now are perfect for street hockey and bumper shining. The worst part, though, and once it happened to me, Mom bought me brand new gloves from Quinn the Eskimo. Fantastic glove. And one of them got stuck in the number 3 bus as it was going towards Avenue P or Avenue H. And that was it for the gloves. Does that make sense, though? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've called that bumper hitching, but whatever, same sort of thing. I thought for sure, I thought you would have, like, that bumper shining sounds like, well, you just ran into another car, kind of maybe put a little scrape on it or cleaned it off a little bit, and then you just kept driving.
But just because we've had the snow, you guys had the snow before us in Calgary, and then we've had it, and it's been that windy, packed down. Like the street in front of the studio right here, it is perfect for street hockey. And then I got to thinking, like, kids don't play it anymore. Like, my kid has no idea the struggle of trying to find 2 hockey nets on a Tuesday.
Oh my God. Like, I guess in the suburbs, my buddy says they still play street hockey, but like, that was my life. Like, until I was like 15 or 16, like, it wasn't just the only question after school ended was, whose house are we playing at? And what game are we playing? Like, there were different games, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. Was it hog? We had all these different games, but I think it's sad, and I think it's part of the reason why we don't. I don't know. Well, I'm not going to get into a big whole thing, but it makes you better. Well, it makes you a better player. Like, it makes you a better stick handler. It makes you a better heads up player. And same with pond hockey. Like, the kids don't play pond hockey like they used to when we were kids. Anyway, I don't want to sound like an old guy, but these are facts. Like, people don't do these things as much as we did. And man, it taught you a lot about keeping your head up and just being a good hockey player and a good teammate too. You had to pass. You had to learn how to shield the puck. Like, there were things that teams right now, my kid plays community hockey, they don't know any of these things.
It also makes you more social. It forces you, it's forced socialization. Like, the only thing I see now is a kid at one house with one net, and he's got either a piece of plexiglass or something, or fiberglass on the driveway that he's just practicing a shot on, hitting an empty net. That's it. One solitary kid shooting at a net. No kids playing, no group of kids playing. Definitely not 2 nets, and definitely not in the street.
No, and it's ODR, right? And I made it in the backyard for a few years. It was great. I had so much fun, all that. It's so much work. Now it's like, can you take us to the ODR? And then it's like, okay, so-and-so's got to be there. This guy's got to be there. And the shack's got to be open for the most part. Tie your skates outside. And then the street hockey thing, you said, like, it made you, if you could stick handle with a tennis ball, it wasn't at Wayne Gretzky, or somebody said it was Wayne Gretzky anyway, maybe Michael Scott, who said it just makes you a better stick handler. But because when a street's like this today, you always, if you wanted the kid home that had the other net, like, please say you're home, your mom's not taking you to Zellers or wherever. We need you there with the other net. Can we use your net? If you're not there, no, you can't. Come on. Then you got to use the 2 stumps or boots. That's Bush League. And then it was like, does anyone have the good black sponge puck? That was always the best. Or you go tennis ball. Secondary, like I said to Harry before the break, there would always be the game that you'd get looped up to where they were just psychotic and they used the orange frozen ball. Like no one wants to play with that orange frozen ball. Eric he was so bored with this topic. He just clicked.
I'm out of here.
But remember, Harry, that trying to find two nets?
Yeah. You always wanted two nets. Not having two nets, just kind of, like you said, it was awful using boots and just felt like an also-ran game. And the orange ball, I can honestly say I never, ever played with the orange ball. And the sponge puck had to be the sponge, not the nylon one, because the sponge one was good. And then they came out with that nylon black one that wasn't as good.
I loved the nylon if you weren't in goal because you could whip that thing around and it had it had some weight to it. You could really snap it around, as the kids say.
But the best thing, and kids don't do this because, like you said, it's generally just them shooting against targets in their own. And by the way, those flipping tiles are expensive. You know that you gotta have about 18 of those tiles for the kid to be able to launch his shots in the garage. That's what my kid's doing. But the goalie equipment, like to me, some kids will grow up never knowing what it is to flash some leather and make a huge, as we would always say, Mike Palmetier. And again, I'm dating myself, but you'd pull the big windmill like that. There is in my life has been dominated by sports, either covering it, playing it every single day. I still play. I played this morning, but I'm not sure there's ever been a more satisfying thing in my sporting life than playing road hockey in net and going on a bit of a heater where you're making all sorts of saves and you feel like you're really in the zone. And like you think you're Palmetier, you're doing the 2-pad stack. And it's just the most amazing thing. Kids will never experience that moving forward. It's too bad.
No, and it was like all of a sudden, if you had white Sorels boots, those turned into the greatest goalie pads in the history of the world, and you were in there to shut the door. But then you also had Buddy Kid that would show up in the goalie gear, and then the other guy at the other net's just this like little stick figure. And it's like, well, I hope, whose team do you want to be on in this? But yeah, okay, that's it. That's the segment today. Street hockey and bumper shining. See you later, Eric. Where do we want to start? You wanted to talk about Calder already?
Well, yeah, okay, it's early. That's the first reaction. I get it. But it's kind of fun that people in Calgary are already talking about Dustin Wolf. Should he be in the Calder conversation? And I love that Dustin Wolf himself said, it's November, everybody, slow down. But, we're almost at the quarter way through the season, Mark. And it's, you're starting to see the handful of guys that would be in that conversation. Again, things can change. But I think that generally speaking, you're going to be looking at Matvei Michkov. To me, he's the favorite to be, in this Calder Trophy discussion. Everything he does south of the border gets a headline. He's like a sexy kind of the Russian guy, the mysterious Russian. Everybody wants to know about him. Logan Stankoven's had a great start already. He's almost a point a game. Macklin Celebrini's only played 8 games, but he's got 5 points, 4 goals. Like Lane Hudson's lighting it up in Montreal. Even Siplikov, we watched this Maxim Siplikov last night for the Islanders, and I'll tell you, he's a talent. But Dustin Wolf, like he's 7-2-1 on a team that's gone 16 games in a row without scoring more than 3 goals. Like that's incredible. I looked it up last night. He's 3rd in the league in save percentage and 5th in the league in goals against average amongst starters. Like, again, it's early. Nobody's expecting to maintain this sort of pace or these numbers moving forward. But people want to talk about this sort of stuff. Talk radio. Like, guys, we're always looking for things to talk about. In Calgary, it's a topic right now. And so there's kind of your guys that you're going to be watching for the next 4 or 5 months, to me, for the Calder.
Those guys have boring talk radio shows if they ain't talking bumper shining and street hockey and Stratomatic hockey and things like that. Like, you got to be creative in this day and age, Eric, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Blockbuster, baby. You got to talk about it.
Comes out of a holster.
Yeah. Okay. So
right out of my wallet.
I watched the shootout last night, Flames and the Islanders. I should have sent the video to you, Curtis. Was it Kuzmenko? Who scored the backhand winner or the backhand goal for the Flames?
Yeah, Kuzmenko. Pretty sick mitts he's got.
Speaking of street hockey goals, right? Like that's the kind of stuff. Did you see it, Harry?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it.
He's a right-handed shot, so that would be opposite of me. He came in on the goalie. You play goal too. Harry plays every position. So it's crazy. He came in. He showed backhand, and you know how guys kind of come back sometimes, or they double it. He did the old show backhand and then just roofed it, and the goalie was like, "Ooh, boom!" It was like to do it at that level. Yeah, and then Wolf shut the door for the shootout win. That was a big one. I guess, shootout, Flames, all that. What about outdoor jerseys? Have you guys seen outdoor game jerseys? Have you guys seen them?
Yep. I like St. Louis's. Yeah. I like St. Louis's. Chicago isn't really much of a deviation from what they've done in years past, but St. Louis's is different. I like it. I like white. I like the white.
I like the cream that they kind of go with a lot, with a lot of these outdoor jerseys. And I've always thought these outdoor jerseys, they're fun. Like, it's funny. I went to an outdoor game in Nashville a couple of years ago. And like, who knows, even outside of those two cities, Chicago and St. Louis, like, be honest, you guys, when you saw a story come across the line today about the new jerseys, you're like, oh, that's the first I knew those two teams were playing in an outdoor game, right? Like, let's be honest. Like, and like, a couple things. First of all, I have a Chicago jersey with Taves on it from, I think, the original Winter Classic. As a guy who's married and has kids, you get one jersey framed in your house. I don't know what your over and unders are in your houses, and I don't know if it's different in Sasky, but in my house, you get one framed jersey, and that's the one. Like, I've got some incredible jerseys, some Gretzky, Messier, Lemieux, everything. But that's the one, to me, that's the sexiest jersey that I own in terms of design, and this one's not much different. But the other thing I just want to say about outdoor games, sorry, I'm going on, but, people kind of crap on them and go, why are you doing it? The shtick's over. It's not about any market other than the two that are involved. And I get it. It's also for NBC or whoever's broadcasting it down south of the border. It's a good January 1st, staple now. But it's not supposed to be for the masses. I mean, it's a celebration in the city that's hosting it. And I've been to a bunch of them all over, and it's no different than the Grey Cup. If your team's not in the Grey Cup, you may not give a crap, but in that city, it's a big, big deal. And same with the outdoor games. So it's a necessary evil. It's a big corporate thing, and I got no problem with it. Other people crap all over it. I got no problem with it.
I thought you were going to talk about your jerseys, and you got that one from Keith Tkachuk, because last week you were saying like Keith Tkachuk jerseys and all that. Secondly,
no,
I thought when they hosted the Heritage Classic in Regina, and mind you, it was a perfect night. The snow started coming down. Yeah. I like the outdoor games when they have them somewhere that's not an NHL market. And which leads me to, I think they need to do an outdoor game. It might be more difficult now because the team's not there, at Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona. Ooh. in November or December, because it gets cold at night, right? We've all known you want that, and you want that tea time to be about noonish in those months in Arizona. But it gets chillier at night, that they could pull it off. I think that would be a fantastic venue. It's kind of built into the stadium. It's it's redone though. You got the planes landing like crazy in the background. Didn't they do one at a naval base? Didn't they do it at a naval base? Did they do one in Annapolis?
Yeah. Was it Annapolis? Yeah, I think in Maryland. No. Yeah, I can't remember. I've seen them where there's they had a bunch of the military there, enjoying it. But that Sun Devil Stadium, especially the way it's kind of built into the side of those rocks, it's an iconic setting. As long as the money wouldn't go to the previous owner of the Coyotes, I think the NHL would consider it. He's dead to them, and vice versa. So I think that if the NHL felt like they could make some money off it, but also kind of almost thank those people who did support that organization through some really crappy years, I like the idea. I really do.
Well, like, Harry, what do you think? Like, having it in some, I like the Lake Tahoe. The ice ended up being crap because the sun came out and all that. Things like that. Have one in Whitefish.
I mean, your idea or your choice of venues is limitless if you're going to a neutral site. I mean, there are iconic places all over Canada and the states that could host a game if you're not worried about the having a team in that market. Your
like
possibilities
Lake
are
Placid,
endless.
guys.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one in Lake Placid amazing during COVID? Like right on the lake there. And there was talk for a time that they were going to try to do one at Lake Louise here in, just outside Calgary. And, the problem is it's a national park, and mobilizing all those people to get in and out of the park and parking and, of course, the environmentalists and all this crap, it would have just been a joke. But the point is, like, I'm not sure there's a more iconic setting in our country than that view from Chateau Lake Louise at those two mountains. If the league were able to find out a way to do that, we just need another pandemic, guys, and then we can pull it off. No problem.
Anchorage has had them for college hockey and junior hockey up there. That would be an unreal venue. Harry, you wanted to go at the injury front.
Yeah, I guess a couple things. It's not really an injury, and we kind of touched on how kids are different nowadays. If this JT Miller leaving Vancouver for personal reasons for an indefinite amount of time doesn't signal that this is a different NHL than it was 20 years ago, I don't know what does. Now, obviously, are we going to see this happen more and more? Is it a good thing? I mean, obviously it's a good thing because there's a reason behind it. But where does the NHL go from here? It's a slippery slope, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I love that we're in a spot where a guy can have the courage, whatever you want to use the word, but to just stand up and say, I can't do this right now. And because who knows how many hundreds of guys have gone through, or thousands of pro athletes have played through things where really it was just so debilitating that they just couldn't perform anywhere near their level that they're used to. So, good on them. We don't, I don't know the details. Everybody in the hockey world starts trying to reach out and find out, and I don't care to do that. I just wish them well, and I'm glad that it's there for these guys. And listen, it is I don't want to use the word inviting, but it is nice that they have this option. They're getting paid and they're getting fixed. And boy, is there a better combination if you're really struggling with something. So good on them. And I agree with you. It is a much different time where guys aren't scared. I'm sure there are still guys that are, but when you're a JT Miller and your future is already secure with the money you've made and the money you're going to make, and the fact that you're one of the better players in the world, you might as well nip this in the bud, hopefully soon, and get on with the rest of your career.
Yeah, for sure. And then the second thing is Ovi. Kind of one of the topics of conversation is this is a huge thing for a guy who is one of the hottest players in the NHL right now, because all anybody wants to talk about is the record. They're saying day to day, and he's not a guy who misses a lot of time. Now, does he come back too quickly? Does he? I mean, he's definitely a guy who wants to get back.
Yeah, I've seen week to week now. I mean, I think they're making it a little broader, but either way, not good, because he is one of the best stories in the NHL season this year. I think a lot of us thought he was probably just going to limp into this record, which is not the way you want to see a guy do it. But the fact that he was actually leading the league right now with 15 goals, oldest guy ever to be leading the league at 15 goals. I look, there's a stat out there. Frank Mahovlich was the last guy ever to be the first to 15 goals, like the oldest guy ever to get to 50. He was 33. Man, that's 6 more years, and it's pretty impressive. So I hope it's not that serious, because I would like to see him get it done this year. Otherwise, it'll be game 12 next season or something. It takes a little bit away from it, but that's not his fault. You know what amazing thing is about him? And this is part of how you can...
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Like 36 games he's missed in his entire career, or 35 games, whatever, 35 games. The most he's ever missed was 6 in a row because he got into a fight. He got hurt into a fight. That's awesome. When the all-time leading goal scorer, the longest he's ever missed, was because of a fight he got in, I say good on you, man. That's pretty awesome.
I tried to look it up because I read that in the story as well, that he'd only missed a handful of games in a season as the longest stretch. I tried to find out what the highest playing percentage was, and there's nobody that keeps that kind of stat, like for games played versus games missed. Like he's got to be up there. 20 years and only missing less than 50 games is amazing.
Impressive. It's our segment with Eric Francis here on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. It is for Southie Mainline Chrysler, the new king of trucks in Southie. Going back to the, where the league is and guys, they can go and get help and they can leave and different things. We saw it in the Western Hockey League with the Vaughan twins leaving Regina, right? Their advisors and all that. It's just different time. The other thing that's different is Austin Matthews goes to Germany with this injury to get looked at. Like, that would 30 years ago, your Mike Palmateer days, like that was never an option. Like, it's crazy that a guy has to do that and now just can.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are worth so much money and they're so important and they generate so much revenue that throwing a guy on a private jet to go over to Germany it's worth it if that's what you think will get him the best treatment, the best diagnosis, whatever the case may be. My guess is, didn't he play in Germany?
Wasn't it Swiss?
Was it Swiss? Okay.
When he was like 16 or whatever, Swiss or Sweden?
Yeah. Yeah, he played overseas anyway, and I don't know if that's where he got this connection to this doctor/treatment center, but either way, we don't know a whole lot of details, and that's the way injuries go these days. But we do know that he climbed on a jet and went to Germany. And yeah, that's different. But again, you talk about how the NHL's forever changed. I feel like moving forward, you're going to have that too. Look, remember Jack Eichel's situation, right? The team wanted him to do one thing. Him and his advisors wanted him to do another thing. That falls under the same category, Barney, as agents are calling the shot, or more to the point, players are calling their own shots with the help of their agents. And if that's, my guess is it was Austin Matthews' idea to go to Germany and not just to have a little bit of fun.
And then when you think about it,
is over.
Yeah. When you think about it, though, it's like you think of where the NFL is, which is the biggest thing in the world, and you got Johns Hopkins, you got the Mayo Clinic, you got he's got to go to Germany to get this looked at. Like, that's the thing that baffles me. Obviously, no doctor, wasn't even close, but like, why Germany? I'd love to know the story behind it. It's almost like a Netflix series waiting to happen. Like, what's the deal there? Yeah, I don't know. Anything else? Sorry, Harry, you wanted to go?
No, the Matthews thing was.
By the way, you said the NFL is the biggest thing ever. Bumper shining is the biggest thing ever. That's my takeaway. From today's chat.
Yeah. Well, when you do those boring radio shows for the rest of the week, you start it with bumper shining and then really get the conversation go. The other thing we have going today, because have you ever seen professional freestyle bullfighting? Eric, have you ever seen Curtis, can you play it? Professional freestyle bullfight. By the look on your face on that stream, you have never seen this. It's coming to Regina on Tuesday. Watch this. This is legit. These guys are just out there basically teasing bulls, and then watch the somersault here. Woo. This is. Oh, I know. Isn't that wild,
dude? This would sell in Calgary. Like people, we get tens of thousands of people going every day to the rodeo here. And
how close
you combine, and the bulls are the sexiest thing about the rodeo, but you throw, I like that, man. That is
how close are you with the guys at Cowboys? Maybe we can kind of set up our own little company here and bring it in Stampede Week, a small intimate affair.
I've seen a whole lot of different freestyling going on at Cowboys, but it didn't involve bulls. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's all I'm going to say. That place is legendary for a reason.
Did you want to go on the heels of that?
I don't know how I follow that. Seems silly to go back to a question now.
Yeah, it does. Okay, let's end it, because I even have one more, but we got to end it at that. Eric Francis, have a good rest of the week and weekend. We'll catch up with you Monday.
Yeah, see you, boys. Have a great weekend.